Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to another wonderful week of first grade literacy. My name is Mrs. Ward, and I am a Mint teacher leader and a kindergarten first grade teacher for HISD. For today's lesson, you will need your pencil and paper. Our objective is that we will be going over the student will understand the elements of poetry. The text that will be covered in today's lesson is discuss rhyme, rhythm, repetition, and alliteration in a variety of poems. If you joined in with us last week, you saw that we started our unit on poetry. This week, we will continue talking about poetry and the different elements of poetry. Let's jump into today's lesson. We're going to start with our review. Our phonics review for today is bossy R. We have been talking about bossy R and how when R gets together with some of our vowels, it changes the sound. Today, we're going to be focusing on bossy R with the vowel sound A, R. We're going to be talking about how A and R get together, the sound changes. We know that A is a vowel. A can have a short sound and a long sound. The short A makes a ah. The long A says A. And we know that R makes a R. But when we put A, R together, that bossy R changes the sound. When A and R get together, it makes a R sound. What sound does it make? Yes, R. The A doesn't get to do any talking. That bossy R takes over and says his name. R. Look at the picture. Here we have a car. What is it? Yes, car. Listen to the sounds in k, r. There are two sounds in k, r, but there is actually three letters making those sounds. Do you know what letters we need to make the sounds? Which letter is making a k, k? Yes, C is making a k sound. What about the R? Do you remember which two letters we said make the R sound? Yes, AR makes a R. So we can spell the word car with C-A-R. R. Car. What about star? Listen to the sounds in st, R, star. Did you hear the sounds in star? Which letters are making those sounds? What about the st, st? The first sound I heard was a s. Which letter makes a s? Yes, S makes a s. Which letter makes a T? The T is making the T. And what about R? Which two letters make the R sound? Bossy R in that AR makes the R make the R sound. AR. Star. STAR makes the word star. And lastly, what about park? Listen to the sounds in ark, ark. I hear three sounds. Which letter is making the first? You guessed it. P is making a sound. What about R? Which two letters do we put together to make that R sound? It's that bossy R again. AR. The AR is making the R. And the last sound we hear is a K. And since we hear the K at the end of the word, we can figure that it is the letter K. Park. Ark. Let's look at the words we blended. K, R, car. St, R, star. P, ark, park. Today, boys and girls, I told you that we would be reviewing poetry. In reviewing poetry, we are looking at what are the different parts of poetry. When we are looking at poetry, we're looking at rhyme, repetition, alliteration, and rhythm. Let's take a closer look at those different elements of poetry. The first part we are reviewing is rhythm. Rhythm. We talked about rhythm on last week. Rhythm is when words flow to a particular beat. If you've ever heard a song, you've heard rhythm. Rhythm is the way that the words flow. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curbs and whey. Do you hear the beat? The beat is the way that the words flow. Humpty Dumpty sat on a log. When you are reading poetry, many times you will hear the rhythm. Another important part of poetry is rhyme. What is it? Yes, rhyme. Rhyme is words that have the same ending sound, but a different beginning sound. They're normally in the same word family. It does not mean they have to be spelled the same, but it means they sound the same. In this example, we had cat, bat, fat, rat. They're all in the at family. Many times in poetry, a poem can contain rhyme. Not all poems will have rhyme. Some poems, the author will use rhyming words, which are normally found at the end of the line. Another important part of poetry is alliteration. Do you remember what alliteration is from our last lesson? Alliteration is is the repetition of a beginning sound in two or more words in the same line. Like Tony the tiger was terrified and tired. What sound did you hear again and again in that line? Listen. Tony the tiger was terrified and tired. In that line, you heard the t sound repeated again and again. Alliteration is when you hear the same sound in two or more words in the same line. We will be looking for alliteration in our poems today. We also know that poetry can have lines and stanzas. When we're writing a story, we have to make sure we're using complete sentences. But when we're writing poetry, it is written in lines. It doesn't always use punctuation. When a group of lines are together, it is called a stanza. Take, for example, this poem. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. There are 4 lines, and those 4 lines are together, so they make one stanza. Notice you don't see periods at the end of these lines. Some poets choose not to use punctuation in their poems. Some poets use punctuation, but not on every line. Let's read this poem that I have provided for you today. In this poem, I want you to think about the key things that we said that can be included in poetry. Something else that we're going to learn about poetry is the author writes for different reasons. Sometimes the author is writing to make you feel good. They want to tell a funny story. Sometimes they want to show you their emotion. Sometimes they want you to learn something from the poem. Different poems can have different meanings, and there are different types of poems. I want you to listen in these poems. See if you hear rhyming words, rhythm, alliteration, repetition. Let's look at this poem. I like a warm summer day. I like being outside to play. I like sitting outside in the sun. I like popsicles to keep you cool. I like that summer means there is no school. Listen again as I read the poem. Listen carefully. Remember, rhyming words mean they have the same ending sound, but a different beginning. Rhythm means it flows to a particular beat. Alliteration means the same sound is going to be used more than 2 times in one line. And the part we didn't talk about is repetition. Repetition means you hear the same words repeated throughout the poem. Let's listen. I like a warm summer day. I like being outside to play. I like sitting outside in the sun. I like popsicles to keep you cool. I like that summer means there is no school. Look at the poem we just read. Did you hear those different elements that we talked about that can be found in poetry? Maybe you noticed that there was some rhyme in the poem, like day, play, cool, school. Day and play are rhyming words, and cool and school are rhyming words. They're all actually found at the end of a line. Normally, when poets are writing, they include the rhyming words at the end of the line, but not always. What about rhythm? I like a warm summer day. I like being outside to play. I like sitting outside in the sun. I like popsicles to keep you cool. I like that summer means there is no school. Did you hear the rhythm? I definitely heard a beat with the way these words flow. Repetition. In this poem, we heard I like a warm, I like being, I like sitting, I like popsicles, I like that. Each line contained the words I like. That's what we mean by repetition. We heard the same words repeated again and again. And what about alliteration? Did you hear any sounds repeated? Let's look at the lines. Here was line 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There were 5 lines in this poem. In the third line, I like sitting outside in the sun. I heard the s sound in sitting and sun. Also in line 5. In line 5, I heard summer and school. Summer and school both make a s sound. So this poem included rhyme, rhythm, repetition, and alliteration. Look at this poem, boys and girls. The other poems was poems made up by Mrs. Ward. This poem was taken from the book If Tomorrow Comes. This poem was written by Dr. Sam Howard Hughes. This poem is a favorite of mine because it was written by my dad. This was taken from his book, If Tomorrow Comes. This poem is called The Game of Life. Listen to the poem. Think about what is the author trying to tell me or teach me. Listen to see if it has rhythm, rhyme, repetition, and or alliteration. The game of life. Many times in life, I have been knocked down, but I always get up. Many times I have been slighted and locked out, but I will keep knocking at the door. Many times I have been denied and left out, but my pride has always said, never give up. As a player, I have learned the rules. Never fall, always get up. If you do fall, never look back. Never forget the dreams. As a player of the game of life, I have learned to change and challenge the rules so that one day you may also play, but play a fairer game in this game of life. Let's read this poem one more time. The game of life. Many times in life, I have been knocked down, but I always get up. Many times I have been slighted and locked out, but I will keep knocking at the door. Many times I have been denied and left out, but my pride has always said, never give up. As a player, I have learned the rules. Never fall. Always get up. If you do fall, never look back. Never forget the dreams. As a player of the game of life, I have learned to change and challenge the rules so that one day you may also play, but play a fairer game in this game of life. This poem is different from the other poems that we have read. Remember, Miss Ward told you that there are different types of poems? Not all poems will have rhyming words and alliteration, rhythm, repetition. In this poem, did you notice any of those things? In this poem, sorry, I clicked too quickly. In this poem, I heard repetition. Which words did you hear repeated? Many times. I heard it say many times in life. Many times I've been denied. I also heard the word never. Never give up. Never forget. Those words were repeated in this poem. What do you think the author was trying to teach us in this poem? Was he trying to tell us a story or give us a message or share feelings? In this poem, the author was trying to teach us to never give up. Keep going. Sometimes things are going to get hard, but play fair. And even when you get knocked down, get back up. That didn't mean people are going to push you over. It means when life gets hard, you have to know how to get back up and still face life. Let's talk about what did we see in this lesson today. That's called our recap. A recap means we go back over what it is that we learned. This lesson was a continuation of our lesson from last week, we talked about poetry and the different elements of poetry. We said that there are all different types of poems, and poems are written for different reasons. Sometimes poems are written to share a feeling. Sometimes poems are written to tell a story. Sometimes poems are written to teach you something or give you a lesson. We also learned that poetry can have different elements or parts that go together to make the poem, like rhyme. We said rhyme is the particular beat that words flow to. In many poems, you will hear not rhyme, rhythm. Rhythm is the particular beat that words flow to. Rhyme and rhythm sound alike, but rhythm is like music. It's a beat, it flows. Rhyme is when words have the same ending sound, but a different beginning, like cat and sat. Repetition. Repetition is when the same words are said again and again throughout the poem. Alliteration is when words in the same line start with the same sound, like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. In that line, we heard the p sound repeated again and again. Now it is your turn. Let's see if you can use what you've learned to help me complete this poem. This poem is called School. I have left some blanks because I want you to help me come up with some words to complete this poem. Remember, we said that poems can have lines and stanzas, and sometimes at the end of the lines, we find rhyming words. This poem is called School. At school, it's so much fun. In the hallways, you cannot. What's something that we shouldn't do at school in the hallways that could rhyme with fun? I know you shouldn't. I heard you say it. You shouldn't run. Let's see if that makes sense. At school, it's so much fun. In the hallways, you cannot run. At school, we sing, dance, and play. I wish we had school. I wish we had school. What can we put that makes sense that rhymes with play? Rhyme means it has the same ending sound. So what ends with the A? I know. I wish we had school every day. At school, I play with my friends. I never want school to end. Great job, boys and girls. You just helped me to create a poem. Did you hear the rhyme, the rhythm, the repetition? Good job, great readers. Remember, boys and girls, poetry can have rhyme, rhythm, repetition, alliteration, lines, and stanzas. But not all poems have to have these things. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Thanks for joining in. Miss Ward looks forward to seeing you again next time. And remember, you can follow me on Twitter. See you next time.